Since making my last video, I realized I still had several more things to talk about, so here's a part 2. I've been trying to space out my videos on the Gacha community, but that obviously hasn't worked since my last video was once again addressing my Looney video. This one's also about the Gacha community, the next one's also about the Gacha community, but I guess that's just how my channel is. I've actually had the script written for a while and I simply had other things to do, but I'm obviously revisiting it now as I'm still waiting for information on other stories. Either way, I wasn't completely finished with my points last time, and here I am again to talk about the community. Again, not everyone in the community is like this, but I've unfortunately had the displeasure of not being able to see those people as often, or I've at least had more memorable experiences with people that are absolutely nuts. Anyways, here we go. I get it, children can be horrible sometimes, and they don't always know what they're saying, but that doesn't mean they can't learn what they're saying can be wrong. I have seen so many racist posts recently, it's hilariously awful, and I don't doubt a majority are trolling or baiting, but I just can't shake the feeling that there are at least a few genuinely racist gacha kids out there. Whether or not the behavior was learned from parents or was picked up from somewhere else is a mystery, because obviously I can't see into their lives, but it's worth at least trying to educate them. There are also the gacha people that severely mishandle current events. Like, for example, I've seen gacha recreations of the Holocaust, Korean protests, the current American protests, COVID-19 stories, etc., and all of them are horribly misinformed. It's just so tiring to see yet another major world event be dumbed down into a gacha video. I understand wanting to speak out about current issues you care about, but for the love of God, please just use any program other than gacha. Using a cutesy children's program to portray real and awful world events is not only disrespectful to those directly involved, but in the eyes of the kids seeing it, it makes the topic seem far less important. Because when kids are used to seeing gacha being used for wacky and uncharacteristic stories that are fairly detached from reality, putting a serious ongoing situation in that fantasy realm kind of cuts off a lot of significance of the topic. Children can also be horrible to other people, and I hate to see it. Some of the comments I've personally seen are wild, like I've legitimately had people say they want to kill me multiple times. People have just generally done a lot of shit without regarding the fact that the person they're talking to is actually someone with feelings. I gave some harsh criticism and was quite rude for a while, yes, but I never overstepped. I never told anyone to end their own life. I never told people I wanted to kill them. I've never made hate videos where I sexualize a child's OC simply because I disagreed with them. I've seen it in other people's comment sections too, from both ends. People who harass others based on something they like or don't like are fucking stupid. It's okay to disagree, it's okay to criticize other people's opinions. It's not okay to tell someone to kill themselves because they like or don't like gacha. Believe it or not, I actually hate the people that are anti-gacha crusaders. The people that raid subreddits and servers and groups that aren't doing anything wrong, the people that dox and harass gacha people just because they like gacha, the people that celebrate when something seriously awful befalls a gacha creator. I personally hate it when people find every single irrelevant weakness to take jabs at you or make fun of you for. It's really affected how I present myself, and it's made it hard for me to open up about actual problems I have. And if you do that, it just kind of goes to show how dumb you are, because you can't make an actual relevant argument, so you just attack something completely irrelevant to the situation. Like, if I get into an argument with someone with cancer and we're fighting about taste movies, I'm not gonna slap their bald head and make fun of their illness because they don't like a movie I did. Keeping insults relevant to the argument is my general rule of thumb. It's also not that hard to just not tell someone to kill themselves and instead just criticize their art in a rude way if you want to be mean. Like, I'm not saying don't be mean to people at all, that's dumb, it's the internet. I'm saying don't be mean to an extent where you're actually wishing harm on someone or doing something that could actually impact someone's mental health. Realistically, leaving a comment saying your art sucks balls isn't going to cause someone to have a mental breakdown, but repeatedly telling someone that they're a horrible artist and that they should die might. What I'm saying here is that if you think what you're doing could cause someone genuine mental pain, don't fucking do it. It's simple. Shallow insults, harsh criticism, general banter, that's fine, and if you choose to have an online presence, it's your job to take care of yourself, and if you can't handle basic negativity, I don't think it's in your best interest to be online. To an extent, it's not others' job to cater to your feelings online, because, you know, nobody knows each other, and it's just better for everyone involved if everyone looks out for each other and just isn't over-the-top nasty.
And guys like me, it ain't easy to be played for fools, so let's go, let the room get chiller. Let's go, dirty brother killer. Go ahead and try to hit me if you're able, cause you figured now that mercy's off the table.
This kind of ties into the insensitive part, but a good amount of gacha kids I see just don't fucking know when enough is enough or when what they're doing is crossing a line. It's not like it's really pencil thin line in some gray zone either, no, like some of these kids are just doing shit that any normal person would just consider disgusting. Like making an SFW my character, who if you did not know is 15. I am 15, a minor. To quote Dr. Doofenshmirtz, I had a nickel for every time I was sexualized online despite everyone knowing I'm like underage full well I'd have 4 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's kind of surprising considering it's it's happened that many times. Like, I don't know if that's just a thing that most other YouTubers deal with, but Jesus Christ. I generally allow myself one breakdown per topic before I move on, and the being sexualized one just kind of happened a long time ago, so honestly, I can't bring myself to care too much anymore. It's more of an annoyance at worst to me. I know at least of a few other creators who have had to deal with this shit too, but I just can't wrap my head around why you would choose to be that much of a fucking weirdo. Like, it's totally fine if you don't like me. You don't have to like me, but you do have to not like me respectfully, you know? It's actually ludicrous that I have to ask people not to fucking lewd me, a minor, and just because I don't have a strong emotional reaction to that shit doesn't mean it doesn't, you know, bother me, because it seriously does. It makes me hella uncomfortable, but it's not like I'm having panic attacks over it, you know? It's just not great to wake up and then have someone tell you, hey, you're being sexualized again, like, fuck's sake, people. How hard is it to not sexualize a 15-year-old's persona? Anyways, back to the broader scope of things, a lot of gacha kids like to spam comments of creators they don't like. I've mainly seen it on Instagram and YouTube where gacha kids just spam the comments or send their fans after people they don't like or don't agree with, and I don't know how old these kids are, but I feel like some things generally are accepted as not okay by any age group. And believe it or not, there's also a boundary that you don't cross when you're trolling someone. Trolling is being a dick, but in a fairly harmless way. Like saying shit just so ridiculous it can't be taken serious in like any stretch of the way, or just commenting some pretty benign stuff. Trolling isn't making child porn because you disagree with someone. Again, fucking ridiculous I even have to say that. I thought the general consensus was let's not make lewds of children, but I guess I have to, you know, I guess that just does not seem to be the case. I cannot properly put my disbelief into words. There are a lot of comments I see in general of gacha kids taking their dislike of creators way too far, and I'm not just talking about me, obviously. There's a difference between not liking something or having a spat with someone else and being respectful with voicing your opinions and criticisms and just being, you know, fucking over the top and dramatic, which leads me into my next point. A lot of gacha kids take criticism of their community and other users as some kind of personal attack when that's absolutely not the case at all. They see criticism as some kind of insult and they react so viscerally to it sometimes it's honestly ridiculous. Criticism of one specific person isn't a personal attack, and either is critique of someone else in the same community or just the community as a whole. It's one thing to disagree with critiques, but to attack the person saying those things is just plain stupid. I see it a lot with larger animators who get criticism from people who are even within the same community, like Cutie Pun Pun, who's had some fairly dumb controversy a while back. Some people went apeshit over the critique videos made by other users within the community, and defending things you like shouldn't be lumped in with attacking people who hold opposing opinions. It's okay for people to criticize creators you may not like, and it's fine to disagree, but there's no need to lose your goddamn mind over it. A lot of people also like to see criticism as something that could ruin someone's confidence or passion, or just generally have an overblown effect on them that it really shouldn't have on anyone. Criticism doesn't always feel good, sometimes it hurts a little to get, but if you let that get in the way of pursuing a hobby or interest, then I guess you're just gonna have to lose out, because criticism is just, you know, so to speak, part of the job. People aren't born with talent, it develops and changes over time, and something that can really help boost along that process is getting criticism, and if people just refuse to take it, they'll never improve, or just improve much slower than they could have. Everyone needs criticism, and making it out to be this big mean thing that'll crush people's dreams is counterproductive and stupid. Criticism of someone's work is not criticism of that person, and it's best if you separate yourself from your work if you feel like you would be hurt by those critiques. Think of it as if someone else made that piece, but you're able to redo or fix it. Of course, don't detach too much, just enough that you won't be offended when criticisms do come your way. People who white knight on behalf of others when said other gets criticism are also not great, because really deflecting legitimate critique aimed at someone else doesn't help them any. It just kind of leads them to think that they shouldn't fix anything about their work when their work really does need that fixing. Again, it's okay to disagree with some criticisms, but make sure you do it respectfully and not, you know, lose your mind, because it just makes you look bad, and to an extent, it can make the person you're defending look bad as well. Everyone knows I don't really like kids, but this segment is actually more of a critique of the people around the kids rather than just the kids themselves. I just didn't know what else to title the segment. We are all well aware of all the gross shit GachaTubers can make, and regardless if they are trolls or not, children can still, you know, see those things. Some people brush those users off as just trolls and don't really do anything about it, which I admittedly have been guilty of in the past. But even if they are just trolling and being ironic, there's still the off chance that kids could like see that and think it's normal, and there's a lot of other trolls that are very subtle in their trolling where it blends in with the majority of all the other gross shit the community pumps out. So if you want to make an account dedicated to debating people with bad opinions, then maybe do it in a community that isn't known for its impressionable user base. If you make a racist or homophobic post and some 9-year-old sees that and decides it's a good ideology to follow, then, you know, boom, now we have a new racist / homophobic gacha kid, and then it just keeps going. Same with the gross sexual shit. I actually have had an experience myself with weird sexualizations of kids games. My experience was in Minecraft. Short story time, everybody. I used to have this Minecraft skin making app downloaded called Skinseed. It had a community function where users could make and share skins and download other users' skins. Eventually, people started to use this app more as a creative tool and made stories in the description box of the skin, with some of those regular stories slowly morphed into more sexual tales. I already see a bit of a pattern here, an innocent kids app with the community function slowly deviating from the original purpose into territories with more creative freedom, and then it starts to get ruined. Anyways, back on track. There are a lot of these sex story writers, and many of these stories had really weird and unrealistic portrayals of sexual experiences. I was like 8 when I read them, and I was ashamed of how long I believed some of those story tropes. For example, injections that could grow your genitals tenfold. A lot of the stories actually revolved around incest and abuse, now that I'm remembering it, which is kind of an odd parallel to the Gacha community, but whatever. I had a lot of ideas of what sex was like, but were frankly really fucking stupid, and I've obviously grown out of them now. I cringe looking back on those stories, because even though I didn't enjoy reading them or writing them, there was like this one particular story that briefly scared the piss out of little elementary school me. The story was basically that this guy pissed in his girlfriend's coochie, and then the girlfriend died of ass piss, and then the guy killed himself. And then the guy killed himself. That was literally it. I actually thought I was really scared that this guy killed his girlfriend and then ended his own life because of it, and I was really sensitive as a kid, so that got to me for a little while. What was the point of me telling you that ridiculous story, you may ask yourself? Well, one, I've actually always wanted to tell that story because I just find it fucking hilarious, and two, because I kind of wanted to draw similarities between my own experience with the community, like the Gacha scene, and, you know, the Gacha community itself. The development of both communities was really similar, although Gacha was on a much larger scale, obviously. I'm not saying there are going to be dumbass kids like me who take the more serious and abusive stories to heart and actually have it negatively impact them. Obviously, I don't have PTSD from the ass piss story, and likely neither will anyone who's exposed to Gacha sex videos, but isn't it just better to not have experiences like that? So yeah, that's it. This was more of a placeholder video than anything because, like I mentioned at the start, I have other things to cover. However, I'm still waiting for information to fully construct a video. I'm probably going to try and get back into making animation memes too, so I'll try and get some ideas for that later. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!